Hi, and welcome to the Butler Buzz. I'm your host, Kate Stutz, and I'm sitting here with Dr. Brian White from Butler Area School District. Brian, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thanks, Kate, and I'm very happy to talk with you and the viewers.
Thanks. Well, we know that you are very busy running the school district and you're doing a great job. Can you tell us a little bit about what's going on at Butler Area School District lately?
Well, there's a lot going on, and probably the most pressing thing is getting kids back to school on a more full-time basis. And actually, this week is the first week that all of our elementary schools are back 5 days a week, grades K through 6, and grades 7 through 12 we're back 4 days a week with Fridays as a remote day. And I hope in the near future that is not necessary moving forward as well. As the COVID cases continue to drop, it's really great to see kids back in school. There was a lot of excitement, particularly at our secondary buildings this week, amongst the students seeing each other, in some cases for the first time in months, because the different cohorts didn't necessarily mingle in person. So that's a really exciting thing for the current time. But while we're still trying to get through this year, we're starting to plan for the future of next year and beyond. So this last week, we were happy to share some announcements for across the board. There's a number of them, but the big one was that we're now entering a partnership with BC3 to allow our seniors to take a half day on their campus starting next year as part of a pilot program. We're working on our school reorganization program, which is having Broad Street School reopen, as well as beginning the phase out of the middle school, which also necessitates some work to be done at the senior high school. And we're building a community agricultural partnership program at Summit Elementary School that will be accessed by all of our students district-wide, but be based out of Summit. So there's a lot of new things going on, as well as just dealing with the regular day in, day out of getting through the situation we all find ourselves in today.
Right. Wow. It sounds like you're really branching out, and that's really exciting to have an agricultural program too. And that the Summit's the perfect setting for it. That's wonderful. Can you tell us about how you're prepping for next year with perhaps the kindergarten classes? Are you anticipating fuller classes for the kindergartners?
So we don't know. There's part of us that we know that many parents held their kids back this year because they just didn't know what was going on, and it felt safety-wise they wanted to hold them. But we're not sure if things are going to be normal next year and if the next round of kindergarten parents are going to hold their kids back. So we're in the middle of kindergarten registration right now. We've a little under 300 kids already registered, which is above our normal pace for this time of the year. So we do anticipate a little bit bigger of a class, but then we'll see what the numbers drive us to, and then we'll have to adjust some staffing in May and June to accommodate whatever the numbers are for kindergarten.
Right. That is just something to prepare for. And it's hard to look that far into the future, especially since when things change with COVID, it changes very quickly. So I think you're doing a great job just trying to anticipate and prepare. So that is wonderful. We did hear about, you had hired a principal for Broad Street School, which is really exciting. Can you tell us a little bit about the preparations for Broad Street School?
Yeah, so we hired Ms. Vanessa Boyd. She's currently an employee of the Pittsburgh Public Schools. She starts with us next week. And we are in the process right now of developing what we're referring to as a design team to be comprised of some educational professionals, Vanessa, some central office folks, and parents from that community to help design the focus and how really to engage the community as part of the Broad Street School. We really took a different focus with Emily Britton Elementary School a couple of years ago and really engaged in the idea of partnerships with community organizations, businesses, and services that can help our students and families. And we really envisioned something similar for Broad Street because there's really an opportunity to really create a neighborhood hub. That school one time was the center of that neighborhood, and that's a void that we heard is missing. But we also heard from some parents too that their kids have built some real bonds at Center Township Elementary School and live in that community. So we are going to allow the parents of kids who are already enrolled in Center Township to finish out their elementary school career at Center Township. So they won't necessarily have to be forced to Broad Street should they want to stay up there. So we're really looking forward to creating an engaging, warm environment. And I think one of the people involved in some of the school design work said, we want to create a place the kids don't want to go home and their parents want to come visit. That's the ideal for us to be successful.
That is a great idea. And that's great that you're also giving them the option too, because I can see where they would maybe choose to stay where they were and got
school is so much about relationships. And I think that's what COVID has taught us throughout this. we can deliver content through the internet. There's not a question about that. There are kids successful, and it's another story. But the relationship factor is just missing, and those relationships are important. And to break up those relationships as our students, as we reorganize elementary schools, is a tough thing to do. Now, sometimes it could be a positive. Sometimes children are looking forward to a changed life, and sometimes for the convenience of school right down the street, it might be the right choice for a family.
Right, right. Yeah, that sounds great. And like you said, the people can thrive educationally working on, virtually, but they miss that relationship part, and that is very important. And I'm so glad you're providing that for them. Can you tell us a little bit about the renovations that you're going to do to the middle school?
Yeah, so the senior high school is part of our school organization. The elementaries will return to be grades K through 5. The intermediate high school would be grades 6 through 8, and the senior high school would be grades 9 through 12. Currently houses grades 10 through 12. So that's approximately 450 to 500 more students that will be on campus. So we need some additional classrooms. One of the things we've been working on, in addition to just classrooms, is how can we make our campus more safe and operate a little more efficiently. If most people know, our gymnasium and pool are a separate building as compared to the rest of the building. So the extension of classrooms, we sort of landed on the idea of running a row of classrooms between the cafeteria and the gym, so it becomes a true campus and everything is enclosed. This past summer, we enclosed the connection between the auditorium and the cafeteria. Again, this also helps with safety and security for our campus. The space itself, we need classrooms, but we also need a STEAM/STEM space to house some of our tech ed programs as well. Right now, all of our tech ed programs really reside with any machinery on the intermediate school campus. And so this will provide an opportunity to put some of those programs back at the senior high school. And then additionally, there's a small piece that's a large group instruction area, as well as an auxiliary cafeteria space off the cafeteria to house additional students. The real goal in this is efficiency, opportunities for students, but also to avoid large capital expenses at the middle school building, the old junior high. That building is over 100 years old and is facing well over $20 million worth of work. And our initial estimates of this will cost around half of what it would cost to the renovation of the middle school. So it will help us operationally for kids to have more options and have a true high school setting starting in 9th grade. And it will also help us avoid some costs at the middle school.
Well, that was a really smart move. I think you really did that analysis very well. That sounds.
I could claim credit, but we engaged a lot of community members. There was a whole committee on school organization that really drove through a lot of these ideas and came up with these solutions. So
it was like a team coming together, like a group effort. Cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So before we let you go, so we didn't see an outbreak in COVID at Butler like we did at other schools. So how were you able to achieve that success with attending school in a pandemic? How were you able to keep things running so smoothly? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, I think the biggest thing that has helped make us successful is our teachers and our staff. They have been vigilant about making things work. They have taken on incredibly a lot of extra duties. Our students have been asked to wear masks and have, by and large. Our elementaries, we've been able to space 6 feet apart. And so I think the collaborative nature and team effort of everyone involved has been really important. Our custodial facility staff has really had to really step up their game and really work quite hard as well. To begin this, we bought about 30 sprayers, the electrostatic sprayers for disinfectant and sanitizer, and all that comes together to help keep us operating.
Oh, wow. So you really went the extra mile and it paid off.
It has. We've had some closures, as you know, but end of November and December were not good months because of just the community spread level. But, we really have had minimal closures in the middle of the week kind of things. And part of that was to move to some voluntary things on Fridays and things of that nature, some strategic moves. But by and large, we think we're on a good path to stay open for the remainder of the year.
Well, that is wonderful, and I'm sure that's a relief for the parents to hear. And we're so impressed, and we're proud of the work that you and your team are putting in, and you've done a great job so far. So thank you on the behalf of parents and other students also. So keep up the good work.
Well, thank you very much. And as I said, I get to share some accolades, but really it's because we have a great team of people that are doing a lot of great work.
Well, keep up the good work. You guys are doing a great job.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for being on the show today. I appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me, Kate. I really appreciate the opportunity.
We'll be right back with our next guest.
We're living in challenging times. But while we're doing our best to stay apart, some people go the extra mile to save the day and keep us connected. Heroes are among us, and I get to call this one Dad.
Hi, I'm so glad to see you.
Hello, ma'am. It's nice to see you too.
Hi, and welcome back. I'm sitting here with Officer Tony Saul with the D.A.R.E program. Tony, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you so much for making time for us. Last year we actually had you in studio, and it was great to see you. And we talked about the D.A.R.E program. How has the D.A.R.E program changed in COVID stipulations?
Well, we are in the schools. In the fall time, I was out in some of the schools. Now we're out in the schools. They're starting to call us for requests. So we are out there right now in the schools teaching the students that need this program. It's kind of hard to do it at home. There is an online course that the school districts could purchase through D.A.R.E, but we like to be in the classroom. We like to be there up and close and personal with these students.
Right, definitely. I agree. It does make such a difference when you have the police presence in just in with you, and you feel the difference definitely when you have the presence there too. So have
and we want the kids to know. We want the kids to know us, and we want the kids to ask questions about drug abuse and resistant and education. We want them to ask these important questions so they can use the skills we teach them with that D.A.R.E toolbox, so they can open that up and use those tools in that box. That's what we want to do. We want to be in the schools. It's kind of hard to do that when you're on a computer.
Oh, definitely. And this is something that I definitely feel is essential to living, taking it into your adulthood, to have like a completely healthy life, to be able to navigate this. And it can be kind of confusing sometimes. So, it is important to go to just speak with the students and the children. So can you tell me like how it's been a little different this year? Different protocols that you're following, and then, tell us a little bit about that.
Well, the D.A.R.E program has a lot of interaction with the students where they are putting groups so they could actually do some of these lessons together and resolve some of the scenarios that we give them. And it's kind of hard to do that right now with COVID, and they're wearing their masks and their social distancing. So we as instructors have to kind of do things a little bit differently. I mean, we still have a great interaction with the students that are sitting there at their desks, but again, it's a lot better for them to be in groups so they can, talk to each other. What I do in some of my classes is, even though they are social distancing, I may put them in groups, but social distancing where they could actually talk, and work a problem out. But we don't want them to interact together and violate that social distancing until so-called COVID world is done with. We're hoping that next fall, hopefully things will be a lot better and we'll be able to resume our normal classes.
Yeah, that sounds wonderful. I think we're all hoping for the same thing.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. So this is so necessary. So when do you usually start these classes, these D.A.R.E classes?
It goes from September to June.
Okay.
All the way up into the first or second week of June, all the way until the students are out. This year, we had some schools that elected not to have the D.A.R.E program, but they are thinking about it. Okay. They are thinking about having us come and teach D.A.R.E with our so-called new COVID-19 restrictions.
Right.
And we're hoping that these school districts do requests before the end of the year. I mean, we are going to some of the schools now, instead of a full 10-week program, we may do 2 days a week there to cut it down to only 5 weeks. But we're not having any more graduation ceremonies. And then the prizes that we used to give, a lot of these businesses, they just can't donate to us because they've lost a lot of funds.
Right. It has kind of hit everybody like across the board, and you see like that ripple effect into other organizations such as the D.A.R.E program, which
Right.
is the name. But we know how essential this is to our children's lives. So I think it'll pick right back up where it left off, because we know how important it is.
Well, we hope so. We hope so in the fall. And we're taking it 1 month at a time here.
Right.
So hoping after the school year's over, and then you have summertime, hopefully come August or early September, we'll know what we need to do and how we need to teach our classes, if we go back to the old way or we still stay with this social distancing.
Right. So if someone wanted to get in touch with you regarding the D.A.R.E program, what would be the best way for them to go about doing that?
Well, if it's the school district, they can contact the sheriff's office and they can speak with Sergeant Callithan, who is in charge of our D.A.R.E program. So they can speak with him just as well, and we can schedule some D.A.R.E classes for their school, whether it be a private school, whether it be a public school, a Catholic school. We can do that. We can schedule it as long as we're available.
Right.
I mean, now we're going to be out at 2 different schools right now, and we're using all our D.A.R.E deputies right now for those schools. So we're kind of limited on some of the schools because of the time frame. But once we graduate those students, then we can move on to the next one. But we always try to work it out and try to fit them in.
Right. I think that you've always done such an awesome job with it, and people take to you, and you guys do great with it. And I think you are really improving and changing lives. So,
We try.
You're doing great. And I think next year you're going to be like fully booked. I think you're going to do great.
Well, I hope so. And there is talk that the 5th graders that we did not do this year, we can always try to get them while they're in 6th grade just as well. So we might be in those schools for a longer time, but still we want to get them in the D.A.R.E program. We want them to get the full lessons, and we want them to be D.A.R.E graduates, because we're proud of what we do here in the sheriff's office. We've been doing it for well over 20 years, and all of the D.A.R.E instructors, we love doing what we do.
Well, we see it, and we see the difference that you make. So before we go, Officer Saul, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
And, keep up the good work. You guys are doing great.
We'll keep doing it as long as the school districts want us to do it.
I know they do. So thank you so much, Tony, and take care.
Hey, can I say one thing?
Absolutely.
I want to say a big shout out to Texas Roadhouse up there. They have given us these little discs for our students, our graduating students, which is a free steak meal for the kids. And
cool.
For Texas Roadhouse supporting us and some of the other organizations that we still have, they give us some stuff for these students. And just a big shout out to Texas Roadhouse. They have so much for our program, and we really, really appreciate it.
That was really generous. That's cool.
Yes, it is.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Tony, and take care.
Thank you for having me, and hopefully things will change very soon.
We'll see each other soon.
All right. Take care.
You too. We'll be right back with our next guest.
At Armstrong, our employees take great pride in supporting the community. Here is a historic landmark that makes our hometown special. McConnell's Mill State Park encompasses over 2,000 acres of the spectacular slippery Rock Creek Gorge. Scenic overlooks and waterfalls are popular natural attractions. Visitors can tour a grist mill and covered bridge built in the 1800s. Brought to you by the Armstrong Neighborhood Channel. Catch all your favorite local programming on Channel 100 or on YouTube.
Hi, and welcome back. I'm sitting here with Kevin Smith with BC3, and we're talking about the firefighting training. Kevin, how are you doing?
Good, Kate. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. So tell us about the firefighter training. You know, we've seen a lot of, post-school training being kind of postponed, but, we are still needed in firefighters and they're essential to our living. So can you tell us a little bit about firefighting at BC3?
So we have to follow a pandemic risk management plan that we got approved through the State Fire Academy. And we actually got that approved back in July of 2020. So we really haven't stopped a lot of our fire, but it has been limited on how we do it and all the safety precautions that we have to do now with the social distancing and the mask wearing. So.
Right. So can you tell us a little bit how the training looks now? How the training is different now as opposed to pre-COVID? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So pre-COVID, we were able to run our classes as many students as we could fit in them, and we would hire enough instructors to follow it. Now with the social distancing, here at BC3, we're limited at about 32 students is all we fit in our largest classroom. Once we go outside, we still try to do our social distancing. We actually break the students up into more groups. We hire more instructors so we can get into smaller groups so we don't have as many working together, but we're still able to do all the tasks and skills we did prior to COVID.
Oh, wow. Well, that sounds great. So is the training taking longer than usual since you have to break it up so much?
Doesn't take any longer. We just hire more instructors to break it out a little bit further.
Oh, wow. Well, that's a good idea too. Can you tell us a little bit about the training? Like what does it entail? Like how long is it? What did students come to expect from the training?
So our biggest class that we offer is our entry level to firefighting, and that's actually broken into about 5 different classes. It starts with an intro to firefighting, which is a 16-hour course, which they just learn how to get on and off the fire truck, how to put their fire gear on, what's expected of them as a new firefighter. The next class is a 4-hour class, which is hazmat awareness, which just gets them to know hazardous material out there and how to protect themselves from them and how to identify them. And then as it goes on, the next course would be a 32-hour course, which is fireground support. This is where the student actually can learn a little bit more about how they can help on the fireground. All these trainings take them to being a fledged interior firefighter. So this fireground support really gets them into how you pack a hose on a truck, how do you hook up to a hydrant and use water supply, whether it be porter tanks and tankers from the rural areas to fire hydrants in the more urban areas and suburban areas. And they learn how to tie some ropes and knots. Then the next class is exterior firefighter. That actually gets them to do a little bit more how to take ladders off the apparatus and put them up on the side of a thing, how to get people out of a window, how to fight any exterior fire and start using fire hoses. And that's a 52-hour course. That's the longest. Then we have another hazmat course, which gets them a little more involved on how to deal with the spill if it were to happen on the road. It's a 24-hour course. Then the last one would be their 40-hour interior firefighter, which we actually take them into a burning building and show them how to advance the hose lines in, search for victims that may be in there, and actually extinguish a fire.
Wow,
and that all takes them up to being able to take their national test for firefighter 1.
Oh, wow. That's really, you've really covered all the bases there. That's wow. So you can start to finish to be a finished up a professional firefighter. by the time you're done with these?
Correct. Now that all just gives you little pieces of what it takes to be a firefighter. There's actually longer courses throughout their training. That's just the beginning, and they can take and build on those skills that they have learned from other trainings that we.
Kevin, can you tell us a little bit about the need for volunteers right now, the need for volunteer firefighters?
So there's been studies out there that have shown back in the 70s, Pennsylvania, there was 3,000 volunteer firefighters. As of today, as of about 2 years ago in a study they did, we're down to about 38,000. So there's definitely a need for firefighters out there. And your volunteer fire departments don't actually just need people who fight fire. We use other individuals also. Someone that would maybe someone that's good with the books could come be a treasurer. Someone that just wants to come in and do maintenance around the station or do fire prevention. So everyone's needed.
So there's all different kinds of opportunities, not just someone that can actually fight the fire. So there's like
Correct.
positions for support of the firefighters also.
Correct. And that's why the firefighter training's broken out so much. So you can, if you just wanted to join to drive a fire engine and pump a truck, you only have to take a couple of those courses. You don't have to take it all the way to being an interior firefighter.
So before we go, Kevin, can you tell us if someone is interested in signing up for the firefighting course, how would they go about doing that?
So they can go onto our website. It would be bc3.edu/fire. That would take them to our website and they can get the information from there. And I would advise them to check with their local fire department because a lot of the classes that we have, they're going to need fire equipment to take them. So they would want to become a member of the fire department to do that.
Okay, that sounds great. All right, Kevin, thank you so much for your time today and for serving the community.
All right, thank you.
All right, we'll see you next time on the Butler Buzz.
Hey there, Butler. If you want to see more from the Butler Buzz, click on the playlist button up here. To keep up to date with all the shows from the Armstrong Neighborhood channel, you can click the subscribe button down here. I suggest you do both.